Okay, Duane, you just talked about agreement, and I'll make a long comment here, and then towards the end, a question. Now, I read something which convinced me that the influence of the Earth reptilian rulers and the respect accorded to them is eroding very fast, especially when they're dealing with Americans. So we know what the wonderful worldwide educators teach, that everyone is a free being of real light, but there are those who are content to be dumped down and looked up, and they look up from a position of inferiority in order to, let me say, respect tradition. So a case in point is the beating that U.S. President Donald Trump got by from the press on his recent visit to Britain. That was yesterday. Some say at least he should have deferred to a 92-year-old grandma, the Queen, and a woman for that matter. We see how human agreement is perpetuating human farming and human slavery. It is reported that he defied protocol when he and his wife greeted the Queen. He did not bow, and his wife didn't curtsy, and they just simply shook hands. Also, it is said that he was late to the meeting with the royal, and she had to look at her watch from time to time. Well, some of the things one must not do when in the presence of the Queen, as a sign of deference, or I would like to say forced deference. Some of these things are you don't speak until spoken to, don't sit or eat until she has, and you never turn your back or leave until she does. So Trump managed to flout some of these protocol rules, or let me say traditional rules, and I don't know whether he was doing this to affirm the equality of life or out of sheer impudence. Some of the things outlined not to be done in the presence of the Queen, and the other behavioral demands in the presence of the Queen. They fly in the face of those affirming their own individuality as free beings of pure light, as the real guidance and the real education and real freedom teachers. So what do you say about this, Duane?
Wow, this is fun, Charles. Okay, the daily news. Yes, yeah, the news media everywhere around the world has fun with what Trump is doing every day because it's a crack up. But you got to keep in mind that Trump is, just like an actor. He's being paid very well to do all these antics. Okay, he's kind of like if there were four Stooges, he would be the fourth one. And so the thing is, and that's not a put down. And so people see it differently, but whatever. But it's all an act. And I heard about this thing with the Queen. Ava brought this stuff up. I don't look at the news, okay? I don't pay attention to any of it. I just focus on this. And it's whatever. But Ava brings these things up, or someone else will, and we kind of chuckle about it. But I see it as just a setup. It's all a setup. Again, the media is controlled by the cabal. They're controlled by the reptilians, and so they create this sensationalism so that people, again, they're diverted into ideas that really mean nothing. Okay, so whether he shook hands, bowed, or whatever, for me, I wouldn't even show up. But the thing is, who is the queen? She's a reptilian, and she eats children. So the thing is that Trump is playing a role. Everything he does is a role, and see, he's doing it. He's exaggerating everything that he does. And some people like it if he's making the money, etc. Others don't because he's doing this or that. And I see it as a setup also. The things that he's doing, he's radically doing things. You look at Obama, how he played the role of a gentleman, and his man wife playing the role too, how she does Michael, Michelle, whatever she is. It was fine, whatever. I don't care. This is role playing here. And it's all deception to the masses. And I see things on Facebook. Oh, did you think that Obama was a better president? This man created 7 wars and destroyed women and children on a daily basis. Yeah, but he really looked good to the American public, didn't he? You decide, but it's not. I'm not deciding this. Each person does what they do. And this is why I don't pay attention to a lot of this nonsense, because it's a setup. I see what Trump is doing as a setup to the next person. So in other words, they'll choose Hillary or whoever else is running, even Michelle, etc., running for the next one. And see, again, they're going to do like the Obama thing. People saw through Clinton eventually, and there's a lot more to that than they even saw, and Bush and all this stuff, the 9/11 instigator and all these people. I'm just being real here. And so, when Obama came along, and he was nurtured for over 30 years since he was a youngster to do this. They trained him very well to take on this role, and to where he could do the antics and talk the talk and stand up, you see. But of course, he's got the Secret Service, the military, and the galactic reptilians, the Klingons, in back of him. So he probably feels pretty good in saying anything up there. Okay, so we're just getting a little more real here instead of the surfacey world that we paint this little picture of. There's a lot more going on here. And so he seemed to be, at the time, I remember they purposely panned the audience. And you got people, white people, especially black people, crying. It's like, oh my gosh, Obama, he's going to be our savior. He's talking about change and hope, and this man, and he made it look good. He made all his destruction look really good. And this is what people are accepting and agreeing to. And the hope, people will keep hope, and they always run on hope. And change, well, people got the change they didn't want. Okay? First thing was the big bailout, where the corporation, the government corporation, the U.S. government corporation stole other companies because they were set up with derivatives previously. So again, and so now we come into the Trump age, okay, because people wanted something different, and a lot of people didn't like Hillary. But again, there's no such thing as elections. They decide, the controllers, the elites, they decide who's going to be the next one. It's not a matter of who votes for what. Nobody has to vote. They're gonna bring this person up here anyhow. This is how it is. This is human farming. And so these antics that he's doing, and with the Queen and stuff, this gets a lot of press in the world, doesn't it? Look at the press that it gets. The end result is, of all the things, of all these presidents and what they've done, these so-called presidents and the Congress and all this stuff since they've been created here, where's the benefit of anything that they've done? Oh, maybe they've given a little to the poor and they've done this or whatever they've created, Greenpeace or whatever. But these are just agencies they've created. Before any of this was created, before there was the White House and all that, gee, wasn't the land, the air, the sea, everything, the birds, the animals, weren't they a lot better? Now we're a lot worse, but everybody still looks towards these antics. That's all they are. It's a stage play. And so, again, they just use all these terms because people are emotionally caught up in these things. And so many people are deceived by the Queen, yet they're waking up. And this is why they keep this deception going, they keep pushing it out there, like the marriages of the princes and all these things. They keep pushing this out there. Oh, they're going to have a baby and whatever. Yeah, they're all reptilian. They're going to have a little baby. That's why they got rid of Diana, because she was more so a real person, you might say. And all of a sudden, she started to see what they were doing as they were shape shifting, and all of a sudden, they couldn't have her around anymore. So they set up the car accident, is what they did. Yeah, so they, push comes to shove, they get rid of them, and it always makes it look like an accident or oops, that happened. Kind of like after the Kennedy assassination that they had set up to get rid of Kennedy because he wanted to do certain things in the United States and they didn't want it. Well, over 100 people suddenly died and got in accidents, heart attacks, whatever after that. Of course, that wasn't shown in the Warren report. But again, this is a world of deception, and you can bet your bottom dollar that you're going to be deceived if you think that it's something that's essential or is accurate, simply because the world is a stage and they got most people hooked still. And even people that are into spiritual and transcendental things and supposedly they have some kind of awareness, they still don't see through it. I know a very good psychic lady. I've known her for many years. And she can see things really good, really good. Can see the boys. I introduced the boys to her, Rebazar and the boys, and she loves them. And Paul even appeared to her. But she really liked Obama. And she don't want to look there. She just wants to see the surface world. And anytime I mentioned something political, boy, she would just, she was like a bee with a stinger ready. And so I had to tippy-toe around these things. I never mentioned them. So again, it's interesting, etc. And I'm not for or against it. People make choices. I don't care what they do. I'm doing what I'm doing here, but this is a show. But if you want to think it's different, you have that right to think whatever you want. It's not about me deciding for others. It's all a show here. And realistically, yeah, look at the history from George Washington. What is the benefit that these people have created? And today we have, they maybe create housing and food for people. But really, like the UN thing, I wrote 2 groups on the UN. And really, people think, oh, the UN is doing this or that. It's whatever. They created these agencies to control others. Yeah, the UN maybe can create housing for people or the Africans or whatever. But they don't teach them how to be free. They teach them how to be dependent upon the system, so they become beggars. You see, at first they give them the new little house or new little box, and eventually, as it starts eroding and falling apart, these people become dependent upon the system and they become beggars. And it's like all of a sudden the system goes, well, we don't have any more money to support you. We're having difficulty. These are the people creating the fake money. Okay, they're the ones saying that, hey, well, we're running out of money here with the agency. Hey, they create it out of nothing. And today it's computer money. And so, again, it's all a setup. And so that's just my view, Charles. I'm not saying I'm right, but there is a bigger picture. And, you decide, have fun with that. But, yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, I will go into something from Africa, which is rather scary. Now, just give me your ears to narrate this story. It's a strange story that is going on. And this is taking place in the events are unfolding in my country as we speak, this moment, this minute. So there is a war going on in my country between the English and French-speaking people and cultures. And France supports the French-speaking Cameroonians with boots on the ground, and German shepherds too, to fish out the what we may call the the separatists that we are. So they are fighting to maintain the stranglehold on the exploitation and using sophisticated weapons against the English speakers who have no other recourse than to invoke the help of their reptilian gods. So you will hear what this is. So one of these gods is called, translated is the Lizard King, the Rainbow Lizard, and he's custodian of thunder and lightning. And you search through Greek mythology, this is actually the same Zeus, the same god. Zeus is the god of thunderstorms, and who was worshipped and depended upon to wield the power of thunder and lightning. And in the modern times now, like with my people, to wield this power, you have to be beyond reproach, at least in lower life level parlance, you have to be pure. So as the people are fighting a just cause, so they can wield this power. So as the French-speaking soldiers advance towards what we call the Fon's Palace, as the leader of a group of people, and who is the intercessor and the custodian of the gods of the land. As they advanced, there was a light drizzle and a rainbow appeared in the sky, and the rainbow enveloped them. Then there was lightning, and they were struck dead on the spot. So out of 11 French soldiers from France who were leading the charge, and they were guarding a prison where there were about 30 separatist fighters were locked up and waiting to be transferred or even killed. So they got the shock of their lives again when the kingdom warlords consulted the rainbow lizard deity and sought his help to liberate his children. Again, there was a light drizzle, a colorful rainbow appeared in the sky, and lightning and thunder struck down 7 of the colonial French soldiers who were guarding the captives. And then it blasted open the doors of the prison, and the captives walked away to their homes. And it is reported that another contingent of about 200 soldiers perished in the same way, just through thunder and lightning. So the entire army with tanks, armored cars, grenades, helicopters, machine guns, they retreated after seeing the effects of this mystical neutron bomb. So, well, we know that the lower levels of life are like a reflection of the pure universes. So I want to ask if the new man can use some of these powers to accomplish his all humanitarian projects for the people of the world, bringing the greatest benefit to the greatest number of people. For example, even providing means of transportation without planes, sending parcels, delivering messages in a flash, canceling the agenda of the globalist manipulators, and advancing his mission for the benefit of all. I don't know, Duane?
Okay, we got stories and ideas, and then we come down to using powers. Okay, how about this, Charles? This is my idea. Okay, I'll start from the end and then I'll go around to the beginning because this is fun, the stuff you bring up. It really is. It really is fun. Excuse me for touching my microphone there. Um, okay, how about this? I'll make you a deal. I'll teach you these powers and you can do it. How's that? Okay, you can get yourself in trouble. Okay, I'll watch. All right. There is a better way. So again, and also, as you were talking, I'll start back up little by little here. It's fun hearing these things, and so we got the French soldiers, we got the English, and how did the French and English get there? Why are the Africans speaking French and English? Because of invaders, right? Doesn't the Queen speak English? Okay, this is a reptilian language we're speaking. Did you know that? Yeah, English. But it's so cool, isn't it? It's like, oh no, it's from the United States. This is what they made you think. No, the Queen is speaking English. And why are all these people in Africa? They're destroying that. They've been destroying Africa for the longest time. The Africans had their own language, didn't they? Like the Indians and whatever. They didn't. Did you ever come across Indians here speaking French and English? Well, yeah, eventually they did. So look at the real part of it, where all this came from. And also the stories of Zeus, the lizard god. And when you said the rainbow lizard, I'm thinking, okay, Ava has this flag in her house, and it's the gay parade flag. It's all these different colors. It's a rainbow flag. And so is this guy gay? Is that the idea? Is this his gay parade of throwing lightning bolts down? I'm just guessing, all right? I don't really know these things because I haven't investigated. But also, kind of like the cover-up stories of 9/11, and then we have, that was by planes from, guys over there in robes and thongs living in caves somewhere across the sea. Oh, they did this, and they mysteriously came over here and got through the airports and learned to fly 747s or whatever they were. Oh, that's a really good story, isn't it? And then we've got the one where Obama, all of a sudden he went in there with the Navy SEALs and the Marines and whatever, and got Al Qaeda. Well, of course, Al Qaeda was already dead from diabetes or something, but all of a sudden he got Al Qaeda, and he's like a hero, and he gave himself the Nobel Prize. There's nothing better than giving yourself medals that anyone can buy at Walmart. It's a great idea, just like that guy that stands next to the Queen with all those medals. I mean, where can you get these medals? I mean, they must be available everywhere, and who else has got them? This is the only one. They don't sell too many of these things, do they? So here we have this story now of the old Zeus. I guess it's, maybe he's got a new job now and he's the lizard god or whatever it is. Of course, those are reptilians. And he's throwing down lightning bolts and, killing the French soldiers. And, they're on their march or whatever. When you said charge, they're on their charge. I was thinking, okay, are they at the mall somewhere and they've got their credit cards handy? Is that what Charles is referring to? But then I realized, no, it's a story. They're charging, of course. They're charging somebody or whatever. So again, yeah, it's all kind of humorous. And so all they have to do, just like the news media, if you look at some of the old films of the 9/11 attack while the news people are there and in the background are the buildings exploding, okay, still exploding. And they're saying that, oh, it was a plane crash and there's still explosions going off. But people buy the story and not paying attention to what is actually happening. So here's another interesting story, isn't it? Just like all the stories in the Bible, and all they have to do is just magically produce these things, and it's like, voila. Okay, so fine. I look at, okay, so when you have a story like this or any of these things, what is the benefit and where does it fit? And everything can be beneficial, but maybe it's not time for it to fit. But then again, if it can be a reference to something that's not needed, that's where I see it fit. And so again, as you brought these things up, Charles, yes, it's always fun. And so again, as we kind of go around the world with what's taking place and what has taken place, and Africa, you've lived there your whole life, and now you're in China. And you see, and I never paid attention to the Africans until I got with the humanitarian programs here, and seeing it, I see Africa as the adventure. This is where we're being pointed to. It's not that I'm going to go over there and save the Africans. That's not the idea, because the idea is that I'm on this adventure with the new presentation. And so wherever I go, I go. And right now I'm in Huntington Beach, California. This is where I am because personally I like being here. And if someplace else makes sense, then I'll go there too. But for right now, because we can Skype and whatever. So, but when you look at Africa as an example, I mean, Africa has been prostituted by warmongers since day one. You know, these people had their villages and their lifestyle like the American Indians, like the natural Indians here, whatever they want to be called. And so then came the warmongers and the takeovers. And from where? You know, reptilian headquarters, basically in England or whatever, from the monarchy, from the kings, the queens, whatever. And these are ancestors, all of reptilians, and they've just reformed themselves. And reptilians are fine. I have nothing against anybody. They make choices. They can make better choices. And so when I comment on these things, it's not a put down. Okay, I am respective. I am very respectable to those things that do make sense. But when people put on a front trying to show that there's something that they're not, and then promoting deception, disease, and destruction, does that make sense? But most of the public buys it. And so again, stories. And it doesn't matter if, you know, Zeus blew open the door and people got away. What does that mean? You know, these are stories like, you know, they're just causing more turmoil and ideas. And people want to believe in hocus pocus, like the miracles of Jesus. And so, okay, let's say Jesus did heal a few people. Guess what? There's no such thing as healing others. There really isn't. You know, it becomes an isness that people do not recognize. In other words, there's something there from the real awareness, from the isness, that provides something that offsets the decay. That's the real healing. But when one person does it to another, they only get karma. And the corporation, Tom Flamel, was a good idea. That he talked about that all the time in his past lives, coming in this one, and how he was the healer of this lifetime, and he almost died because of it, because of all the karma he took on. And the same thing with Jesus. They don't see it on the real side, and the Lords of Karma, or all the little tricks he did. He just took on other people's karma, is all it is. But the world has been fed the idea that phenomena is real, and reality, well, that just doesn't exist. So we're in a world of phenomena, hopes and dreams, that things will work out. This is the hope idea. But realistically, when you learn to see through all of this, you still have to deal with it because the world is like this. I'm not here to change the world. You know, that's not the idea. I don't use the word change. I have never written to where, oh, I'm here to change things. No. We have our position that we present, okay? And the change comes about when people wake up and decide to agree with something that makes sense. That becomes the change. And so I see, and I describe this, okay? And I use the Green Lantern character as an example. And this is where many people don't understand what does this mean. And so in the comic books like Superman and Flash and Batman, but the Green Lantern has this ring that he was chosen, and he got this power ring, okay? And so the idea is that he's to thwart off evil. Well, the real Green Lantern, as I described, because it's just part of my fun adventure, you know, as Ava would say, fantasies or whatever, but, you know, this is the real heart of ourselves. When we're in love with something, that's our fantasy. Really, it is. It's a romantic fantasy, but it's real to us, and it is real. And the real Green Lantern, yes, has the power ring, okay, but doesn't use it. Just by the very fact of his presence, people begin to realize they can do nothing, all right, around him, and that wherever he walks, everything is a benefit. It's kind of like the grass grows, and the butterflies and the birds come out, etc. It's an automatic thing. See, with the real universes, there is no power. It's an all aliveness. In creation, you have cause and effect. That equals the power idea. The power idea, like electricity, and if you touch it, boy, does it whack you. It's an agitation, you see. The power idea is really an agitation. It's not a true reality. There is a difference, but many people don't see that, so they run after the power idea. And in politics, I'll use politics and religion as an example because they're both the same thing. Actually, it's all religion because it was all from the gods, and then they created politics, you see. So again, they defined it in a way to where people think there's a difference, but no, there's not. It's really like the Vatican, they rule the world. It's not the United States is stronger than them or whatever. No, it all comes from there. It comes from, reptilian headquarters, number one. So we have all these stories going on, and this is the real test is for people to really see through these things, or just decide that, oh, that's it. Oh, okay, that's a sound good story. I'll go with that. Just like the planes that crashed into the Twin Towers were basically really holograms, and they were explosions at the same time, or they were planes, and there was nobody on them. They created all those voice imitations, and where are those people? Who knows? Again, what a setup. So, yes, we have an interesting world here, and you have the gods and all these ideas, and again, they spread stories just like they did 9/11, and I saw it on Alex Jones, and it made sense, just like the Boston Marathon, where the explosions went off, and somebody yelled, "Oh, it's those kids over there." Well, it wasn't. They had pictures all over of the Navy SEALs, U.S. Navy SEALs that did it. They purposely did it, create another red flag, create fear through the public, constantly creating fear. All these things that you're seeing here is to create fear. And even the stories like this one here and the old gods where they threw down lightning bolts, it's all about fear. It's to keep the fear going, keep people confused. And so now you have something that really is very real, but you need to take the time to really, really see it and hold it to heart until it's 100% your life. Or you decide the percentages, what's more important. And for the most part, most people will go away because their personal life is very important. And that's all you have. You just grow old. So again, yes, I look at these things. Again, what is the value? There's a reference there. And most of the time from this world, the references that are created is what has no value and what is the use of it? Where's the benefit? Where does it fit as a benefit? A sound good story? Yes, we giggle about it. I giggle about these things too with Kelsey and Val and Ava and others, but realistically, doing something real, that provides something real, and this, again, is the projects, and these things will only become so as people step up and really take the risk, when you're starting at square one, just like, where any building is standing, like it could be Walmart or IBM or whatever, before that building was there was just dirt, and somebody stood on that dirt and said, you know what? I'm going to build a building here. And they may not even know how to do it, but all of a sudden they decided, it's like, I'm going to build a building here. I'm going to build a business. I'm going to be president of this thing, and it's going to work for everyone. So, see, you decide somewhere. So when people come to the new presentation, they see a few things and they go, well, okay, well, for the most part, they'll just say, well, I'll just wait until you're ready. Very few people will step up and go through all the little steps, just like when they were babies. A step at first they crawled, and then a step at a time, they got up to their feet, started walking, and to where they are right now, to where each of you are. How many people will do that? Very, very few. I've not stopped. That's why it's here. I said many times, I've left many of my best situations in my personal life to do that. Otherwise, this wouldn't exist. Oh, I could have done something, but not like I'm doing now. And so it's only going to get better. But only those people that step up, take the risk, will see it. because everything equals itself. Again, I'm going to repeat this many times. You must earn your way. You must be the risk taker, and then life will show you, you see. Yes, people beg for the knowledge. They want truth and all this stuff, and all they get is confusion, and they don't know what is what, because they've got to come to an understanding of what really makes sense, not just what sounds good. And this, again, because I know people involved in the UN programs, and they think they're, oh, just so great. They're not what they seem. And really, again, I gave the comparison, two different groups there, and it's very well laid out, and there can be more said about it. But the thing is that, yeah, we're not into control. We're into showing people how to become self-sufficient and recognize the all-natural environment supporting all of us, where the UN agendas and control is about, keeping people dependent, unaware, microwaved, mind-controlled, and at the same time using products and things that destroy the natural environment. You choose, which side, where do you want to stand? So again, it becomes very interesting.